Now we are going to identify unknown ionic compound. We have seen in the previous tutorials the tests we use to identify metal ions and nonmetal ions. And among the tests that we use for the metal ions was the flame test. And if you have a lithium ion, you should get a crimson red flame. If you have sodium, you will get a yellow flame. If you have potassium, you will get a lilac flame. If you have calcium, you will get brick red flame. And at the end, if you have copper, you will get a green flame. However, for the nonmetal ions, we have seen the carbonate test. If you have a carbonate in your unknown, you will get bubbles of CO2. If you have sulfate, you will get a white precipitate. If you have a chloride, you will get a white precipitate. If you have a bromide, you will get a cream precipitate. And if you have an iodide, you will get a yellow precipitate. Now, let's take an example of an unknown and let's name this unknown X. So we are going to identify the unknown solution X. In order to identify the unknown X, we should run experiments that include the tests that we have learned. So we should run the flame test, the carbonate test, the sulfate test, and the halide tests that include our unknown. And we have already done that in the lab, and we found out that after doing the flame test for this unknown, we got a brick red color. And after we have done the carbonate test, we got no reaction. And after we have done the sulfate test, we got a white precipitate. And the last experiment we have done for it is the halide test, and we found out that there was no reaction. So the unknown has a brick red flame. What does that mean? It carries one of the metal ions, but which ion? Well, the calcium ion, because the calcium ion is the ion that gives us brick red flame. Since the unknown solution X produced a white precipitate after doing the sulfate test, this means it carries a sulfate. So the unknown ionic compound is calcium sulfate.